Okay, hello everybody. It's time for Mr. Lowe's History Lessons, Episode 1. I think I'm gonna need a slightly catchier name. So now this is the first lesson for home-based learning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the content about the current chapter, and this is how we are going to proceed for the rest of home-based learning. So we're continuing with our current chapter, which is chapter 3. So before we start, please make sure you have the following. Make sure you have your notes. That means your physical hard copy notes. Please don't sit there and wait for me to tell you to take out your notes because clearly I'm not there. You will also need your writing materials. Since you're at home, make sure there's enough light. You have a comfortable chair. Please do not be on your bed. That is not a very conducive environment for studying. And make sure that you have enough sleep. If it's 2 a.m. right now, stop the video and go to sleep. So if you're missing any of these items, please pause the video right now. Make sure you have them before we continue. Okay? So here, let's go. So this is what we are looking at. How did Hitler's rule affect Nazi Germany? Remember that this is the progression from the previous chapter. How did Hitler come into power? Now Hitler is in charge. What does that mean for the people of Nazi Germany? Okay? So this is what we were talking about. We were talking about Hitler's rule. We have already finished political impact. So now we are moving on to the economic impact of Hitler's rule. And right now for today, I just want to cover economic redevelopment. That's today's focus. Okay? So the question we need to ask ourselves is about economic redevelopment. How did it affect the people? Okay, remember political, economic, social, right? So we always want to make the connections. How does the economy affect society? Okay, and how does it affect Germany in general? So that is what we're going to look at. There are 3 sub-points, but we're only going to cover the first point in this video. Okay. So as a broad overview, what we see is that the Nazis did attempt to revive Germany's economy. Did it work? Yes, it did. But the question that we need to ask ourselves is, was it worth it? Okay. So immediately already we have an initial understanding of that there are some positive aspects to this, but there's a cost to it. Okay. So the first problem, as we know, after the Treaty of Versailles, after all the Great Depression, hyperinflation, things like that, one of the main problems that people face, rather the German people face, is unemployment. Okay. So unemployment is a major issue because we know now, right? During COVID, people are laid off. They have no jobs. They can't bring food home to their families, and people get upset. Their way of life, their survival is threatened. So naturally, unemployment is a huge problem for the government. So the Nazis are thinking, okay, we need to solve this. We need to make our people happy. Let's re-employ them. So how does this happen? Okay, so there's this guy called Dr. Schacht. Okay, he's in charge of this restarting of Germany's economic program. So he encouraged public works. Okay, public works, what are these? Okay, if you look at things like roads, motorways, public buildings, okay, things that the government will build, not things that different companies build, things that belong to the country as a whole. So your employer is the government. Okay, so why is this good? Because obviously for the German people, it means they have jobs. Somebody has to build the schools, somebody has to build the sewage pipes, somebody has to build the roads, right? Fun fact of the day, in Germany, the motorway is known as an Autobahn. Let me find a place to write it. Autobahn, A-U-T-O-B-A-H-N. It's auto meaning car, bahn meaning road, if I'm not wrong. Did you know that in Germany there is no speed limit on the expressway? In fact, there's a minimum speed limit. If you are going too slowly, the police will stop you. Excuse me. So is this good for the German people? Yes, because clearly there is job creation. Not just job creation. There's also a provision of infrastructure. Infrastructure refers to all the things like roads, motorways, okay, public utilities, electricity, things like that. Which naturally, if you have them, it increases the standard of living. So in your analysis, you should point out that there are 2 different effects here. Okay. Another important example that I would like you to remember is this thing called the Reich Labor Service, okay, which is an agency. It's like a job search agency. You sign up and the Nazis basically give you a job. So it might not be the best job, but at least it's a job, which is better than nothing. Okay, so we can see that there are some strategies in place that the Nazis are using. Oops, sorry. So overall, the Nazis are obviously successful in revitalizing the economy. It seems like everybody is rather happy with it. Of course, the question is, who is able to actually get a job? I mean, if we think about it, are the Jews going to get a job? Maybe not. Okay. Now, besides re-employing the people, the Nazis also did something to stimulate the growth of their economy. Okay. Remember that because of the Great Depression now, what year is the Great Depression? Okay, that's right, it's 1929, okay? Because of the Great Depression and because of the economic terms of the Treaty of Versailles, Germany is in dire straits. What they want to be, if you look at the first point, it says economically self-sufficient. What does this mean? It means that your country no longer has to import anything, or rather not that you don't have to import anything, but you import much less, which means after a while you can start to export. Okay, and also it creates jobs for your own people. It creates growth in your local economy. Okay, so how did they do this? Mechanically speaking, look at this point. It says companies that produce such items. Okay, let's say I want you to produce potatoes. Okay, and you sign up to be a potato farmer. Then okay, I'll buy the potatoes from you. But if I wanted potatoes and you were growing strawberries, then clearly you don't have a buyer, and you're not going to make much money. So far so good? Oh, sorry, big industrialist. What does this refer to? Industrialist refers to what I'm talking about is factory owners. Okay, think of it as factory owners. Okay, not just those small kacang putih factory owners. We're talking about big, major industrialists who own multiple factories. They have a significant market share. They can affect the economy. All right. So we have Hermann Goering, okay, who is starting to think about how can I improve my economy and as well as prepare Germany for war. This is of course World War II, which is going to start in 1939. We will cover that next chapter. But anyway, to prepare for this thing, he has this thing called the Four-Year Plan. Okay, Four-Year Plan important. 1936. It's always good to show off knowledge in your essays when you're writing. So the question is, what is the Four-Year Plan? Plan for what? Okay, the Four-Year Plan is to prepare Germany for war. But what do I need for war? What I need for war is weapons, right? So how do I get weapons? Okay, let me write it down. So if I need war, I need weapons, which means I need to make weapons. And how do I make weapons? I need factories, which then creates jobs, which is basically what is happening. Sorry, prepare for war. So that is what the Four-Year Plan is. The Four-Year Plan's end goal is, let's prepare for war. What do I need? Weapons. So rearmament, right? Okay, which means that I need things like coal, steel, oil, okay, brass for bullets, things like that, right? Okay, so this is what is going on. These are the kinds of companies which are developing, okay, and all this generally we term it as heavy industry. Okay, if you recall from Sec 2 history, heavy industry, coal, steel, oil, okay, metal production. So we have all these big companies, right? And remember, when we're looking at the political impact, who supports Hitler? It's all these big companies. Okay, so they are contributing their finances back to the Nazi Party. So of course, not only does the common German man who gets new jobs supports Hitler, but at the same time, all these big companies, they are getting more business from Hitler. They are also going to support him. All right. So if you look at it as a whole, the Nazi Party is generally successful in bringing about economic redevelopment. In a few ways, they revitalize the economy, increase production, create jobs for people. Increase production here, what we mean is that we're talking about producing goods, okay, goods and items. Why is this a good thing? Okay, because basically increased production means that your economy is actually healthy. because an unhealthy economy or an economy in decline cannot, the output does not surpass the input. Okay, revitalize the economy. If you want to rephrase it, you can say created economic growth. Okay, and of course they created jobs for the people. So far so good. So Germany on the whole benefited. The main beneficiary of the FourYear Plan were the big industrialists. So if you think about it, these are the people in power. Not that many people benefited from the FourYear Plan. Okay, but you might say, oh, but Mr. Low, how about all these people who got jobs? Yes, they got jobs. But as we are going to find out, this employment, the fact that I have a job, comes with certain restrictions and conditions. It doesn't mean that just because you have a job, there are no rules you have to follow. There are a whole bunch of things which we need to start to think about. Okay. So fun fact of the day, you know Hugo Boss? Hugo Boss is the current, they have perfumes and things like that, if I'm not wrong. Okay. They made the SS's uniform. So even things like IBM, okay, Siemens, Coca-Cola, Nestle, just because you're not a German company doesn't mean that you don't invest with the Nazis. So we really think about this, right? Think about it, okay, guys. Next time when you buy things, you need to think about what are the companies that you're actually supporting. Let's say you're against animal testing, right? Let's say you like animals. Then you buy this thing from, I don't know, company X, which has actually experimented on animals. Then actually you're supporting them, right? So think about it carefully. All right. So that's where we will stop for today, for this lecture anyway. So it's time for the joke of the day. So listen, okay. Let me find some space, okay. You know what? You know math, right? You know math is my favorite topic. So you know what a numerator and a denominator is, right? What's the difference between a numerator and denominator? Actually, there's not much difference. There's only a fine line between a numerator and denominator. But it's too bad that only a fraction of you are going to understand that. Okay, see you. Look out for episode 2.